Good morning, dear colleagues. Let me welcome you to the last session of our seminar on cross-border education. Before we start briefly wrapping up the training sessions, I have a few technical announcements to make. One is that if some of you need a certificate of attendance, a sheet of paper stating that you have participated in the seminar, please ask Patricia outside. She will give you a certificate of attendance. Second announcement, you have all been given evaluation forms when you arrived this morning. Would you be so kind as to hand in the evaluation forms sometime during the coffee break, so that you do not go home with the evaluation form, okay? Announcement number 3, in our program at 12 o'clock at high noon, we have half an hour that is called Your Time Slot. Your time slot, in fact, is the format that gives you as participants the possibility to address the audience, to say whatever you want to say, whatever you like to say. There is just, say, 3 rules for the Your Time Slot. First of all, you have 5 minutes per person. Second, no PowerPoints. And third, no discussion. So the point is that whatever you want to say, whatever you want to inform the audience about, just be so kind and bring a slip of paper with your name and your topic to me, maybe before the coffee break or during the coffee break, so that I know who is going to say, who is going to go to the stage and say something, okay? It's very informal, but these are the rules. And the last announcement before we enter on the topic again is practically all the PowerPoint slides have been put on the website. So all the material that was presented during this conference, maybe with the exception of one that will be sent, is already on the seminar website and is downloadable for you, so that you use it when you're back home. Okay, right. And now I would like to turn to a very brief, given the time schedule, very brief feedback on the 3 training groups by the 3 moderators. Just are there or have there been any particular kind of observation, something that you found particularly interesting in your group, any particular points of discussion that might have come up? And I will ask group number 3, Halil, to be the first to do the brief reporting.
Yeah, thank you, Arthur. I think the group was very interesting. We have a very hot discussion. Due to time restrictions, I'll maybe focus on 1 or 2 major issues. One of the major issues is the social dimension of the cross-border education. When it comes to either the branch campus, its effect on the students, its effect on the local higher education, and its effect on the professors on the national universities. Also on the social dimension of double and joint degree. There is no evidence of the impact of the joint double degrees on students. We don't know if it is positive, it is negative. It is, in spite of 10 years of experience, it's still unmature to say that double and joint degrees. Unfortunately, the students came in the last session only. And unfortunately, I think it would have been better to come since the beginning, because their views were very, very important for us. The third social dimension is the resistance of professors, our generation, to the new methods of learning, the effect of technology, even on our life. There was some reservation about using different technology and etc. There is a fear of, or the major question would be there would maybe one day come that all traditional university would disappear. This is something that is still on this thing. Another point, and I'll stop here, is the legislation concerning all the three topics, either the e-learning, distance learning, the recognition and equivalence of double and joint degrees, and franchising. If the word franchising can be used in education, I don't agree, but this has been used. And also, I think countries and on the national levels in each country, I think there is a need to adopt the legislation in order to accommodate branch campuses, joint degrees, double degrees, etc. I stop here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Halil. Any questions from group number 3 or any other groups to Halil right now? If that is not the case, thank you for summing up so concisely. Jean-Pierre de Greve, group number 2.
Thank you. Halil said it all. That's it. Is that brief enough?
Okay, that is very brief indeed.
Okay, now I give personal flavors, but I have to agree most of it coincides with what has been said. But I go topic by topic, perhaps. The main concerns that came on the discussion on the degrees, double and joint degrees, were essentially what's in the name? Or perhaps should double degrees and joint degrees now differ in content? Should they differ in student performance? Another thing is that should they evolve, because they involve two institutions, what about the quality balance between those two institutions? That was a concern that popped up during the discussion. A possible answer to both of the concerns is, gosh, what are you worrying about? Deal with it between the two institutions. Solve it yourself. Don't look too much for regulation on it. And the last conclusion from it was that we should also beware of the financial sustainability. Avoid financial dependence if you establish a joint, dual, or double degree whatsoever. And it was shown by one case that it's perfectly possible to have such a collaboration without a financial dependence at all. The second discussion on branch campuses and related, I think still popping up is the question, why should we do it? Yeah? It's a very long-term major university project that affects only a very small part of your whole institution. So just think over it, well, not only once, but twice. And what was very clear from the discussion and from the questions that popped up is that indeed the location, with whom and where are you going to do such a branch activity. I myself suggested, why not looking for a branch activity at your own campus from a colleague university? It avoids lots of the difficulties and it can help your own region and institution as well. And then the last one on the new technologies and the old academic way of teaching, the fear that we all could feel among the older generation, although I think older generation is quite aware of what new technologies can bring. But still, the question remains, and that popped up. Today we can't even say how it will affect higher education because the changes are actually frightening fast. Yeah? They're frightening fast, and so the question pops up, how do we avoid making mistakes in introducing things in the classroom, among the students, among the academic community? The quality issue came up, but again, one answer could be that students, employers, companies will determine what the quality of teaching and learning is in an institution. One can wonder, do we need standards for the new technologies and the new pedagogy? Again, I feel that universities should make up their own mind because they have talent enough to do that. I think that's roughly it. On a personal note, I think that all in all we were introduced in novelties, in new emerging models of experiencing higher education. But some of them are applicable at home, some not. Some of them might work at home, others won't work. But I think it's up to you to interpret what has been given here during those few days, take it home, distribute your appreciation of it in a way that it has an impact on your local environment, on your local higher education environment, and in such a way that it becomes a positive effect. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Jean-Pierre. Any questions or comments to Jean-Pierre? Well, that seems not to be the case. Then I will briefly summarize training group number 1. Much has already been said by the previous speakers, but I would also, on behalf of all of us, wish to thank the presenters of the case studies. I think the three topics that were presented in the training groups were very interesting topics, and also very well presented by our colleagues. As regards the question of joint degrees and double degrees and so on, in group number 1, we discussed basically that we have to be aware that there is a number of decisive factors of whether these programs will be successful or not. It's never just one factor. Also, if a university or a group within the university want to enter into a joint degree or double degree development, then it should be quite clear that this has to be a strategic choice of the university as a whole, because developing and running joint and double degree programs involves basically all the managerial side of the university and also the administrative side. And in order to run these programs successfully, both the academic teachers, but maybe even more importantly, the administrative people have to be trained, have to be educated in such a way as to be able to cope with these programs that as has been pointed out, pose a number of difficult questions. And we also discussed, and this is also something that we want to share with the other groups, that we thought that one of the tasks or one of the roles of the either Bologna or higher education reform experts in this context is to act as advisors to the institutions that want to enter into collaborative programs. Also in order to save time, because if in a country you have 5 or 6 or 7 institutions that all start from scratch and that all do the same work over and over again, it might be helpful to have the experts as advisors and as resource persons, and we have been given a number of literature resources also. The case of the University of Ghent, Korea, was very strongly discussed. We found it particularly interesting, also in comparison with the Nottingham case that was presented the day before. What we found interesting in the University of Ghent, Korea case was the very strong focus on sustainability. Also the fact that University of Ghent was invited by the Korean government together with 3 other universities to form a multi-university campus that in fact operates on a principle that all universities do different things, so principle of complementarity, and that we found very interesting. And about the new learning technologies, I think my colleagues have already pointed out the most important points. Also, if we think of whatever Education 3.0 involves. It will strongly touch upon the relationship between university and society at large. And I suppose that it would also be, and this is my personal statement now, the task of university and of university research to look into the technologies and the use of the technologies and the effect of the technologies from a research point of view. We have I think we lack real fundamental research on teaching and learning in the higher education sphere. In general, we know much about teaching and learning at early childhood and so on, but not so much about teaching and learning at universities, and that might be an interesting field for research in various areas. Okay, any questions?
3.0 education?
Education 3.0.
Students are at 4.2.
Are they? 4.2. Okay, then we must try to be at 5.0. Okay, Jean-Pierre.
I've just one little comment to add. I want to thank my group because, sincerely, I learned a lot from your comments and questions. You were good. Thank you.
Okay, I think this is one point on which we all agree, which in fact brings me to the closing of this slot and to something very, very interesting.